Someone tried selling a $100 Pokemon card as a $400 Pokemon card just because Collectr said so. Yo, what up, guys? This is Curtis from Caps Collectibles. Today I want to talk about something that might be controversial in the Pokemon community, the Collectr app, and why I think it might be hurting the hobby. I run a Pokemon card website and an eBay store here in Canada, and after seeing how people are using Collectr lately, I've got a couple major issues with it, so let's take a look. Okay, so first we're going to go through their website. What is Collectr? Collectr is the most comprehensive app for adding, tracking, profiting off of your collection. Collectr helps manage your raw cards, graded cards, sealed products. Great. We make tracking and transacting easy, fast, and transparent. Our goal is to empower next-gen investors and serve as the single source of truth for all collectible assets. Not really liking that statement there. We'll go on. So they say that they're all avid collectors. Eventually, as our collections grew, we started viewing them as assets opposed to simply trading cards. Really don't like that. They are still trading cards. They're still collectibles. I think viewing them as assets is toxic to the hobby. And as with any asset, we wanted to know the true value of what we had acquired and traded. That's fair enough. Like, I understand that. Up until now, we'd use simple Excel sheets, updated the value. Okay. That's when we decided to build something for ourselves. Collectr allows you to manage, track, and value all your raw, graded, and sealed cards in the palm of your hand. That's awesome. I love that. I think it's awesome that you can have your whole collection documented and on an app on your phone or on your computer, whatever, but it's all there for you, and it makes it so much easier than having to do this by hand on a spreadsheet on Excel or something to that extent. Okay, so then the section about pricing. Where do the prices come from? Depending on the product, Collectr sources its price data from TCG Player, eBay, Card Market, and potentially secondary markets. Fantastic. So now that we've looked at what Collectr is, let's get into the main problems that I have with it. Problem 1, the investor mindset. As a lifelong Pokemon enthusiast who's collected for over 20 years now, the thought of using Pokemon cards as an asset to invest in, it just doesn't sit right with me. When I hear the word investor, all I think of is your stereotypical scalper that's camped out at Walmart for hours waiting for a restock. Speaking of which, I recently came across one at my own local Walmart. I walked into my own Walmart and I saw an MJ Holdings rep restocking the Pokemon shelf. First time I've ever seen that, by the way. I've never been in there for a restock live. And mind you, this was at 7:45 a.m., so bright and early. And there was a guy standing, I kid you not, a foot away from her, giving her no personal space while she's tagging up all of the new Ascended Heroes boxes, ETBs, pin collections, whatever. And he's standing a foot away from her, just waiting to dive in and take all of that product for himself. And, fortunately, they had product limits. I think that was the first time they had limits at my Walmart that I'm aware of, at least. But they had limits of one per person, so he couldn't take the whole shelf. But like, there's just some psychos out there in this hobby that need to go. I believe the Collectr branding leaning so far into this idea of investing and profiting off of Pokemon is bringing the wrong type of people into this ecosystem, more of the scalpers, people who are viewing this hobby as, a quick way to make a buck here and there. And they have no interest in the actual hobby of collecting Pokemon cards. All this does is amplify the issues that we're currently seeing in the hobby, with product being impossible to find for the average person, let alone open up anything. Like, it's close to impossible if you go to a store, at least in Canada where I'm from, to find Pokemon cards, which is a major problem. It's not available. And not only on the sealed product end, but also with singles. The prices on individual cards right now is absolutely insane. A new set comes out and you're looking at $1,000 or more potentially for the top chase card in the set, which I get. It's been like that for 4 or 5 years, but it seems to be compounding. It seems to be getting worse. And when you add on top that you can't really open the product yourself, it's just not a good recipe. Your average person can't afford to buy them like individually on eBay, TCG Player, wherever, and they can't even buy the packs to open up themselves to hopefully pack these cards themselves. Personally, I'd love to see this connection between investing in Pokemon end, as it feels like it's become less and less about the hobby of collecting cards. And, it's been sad to watch over the last few years what's been happening. If you're enjoying the video so far, please consider liking, subscribing to the channel. It would really help me out. Problem 2, the marketplace problem. False condition claims. Just for a little backstory on myself, I run an eBay store where I've been able to become a top-rated seller. Typically, I'll buy collections on eBay or Marketplace of varying sizes, and I'll try to list those cards up on my own eBay store and try to make profit. When you're rating the price of a card, the sold listings on eBay is the gold standard, as it tells you exactly what people are willing to pay in that exact moment. So I generally go through these listings one by one every card, and I try to make a judgment based on the condition in the photo and then match it up with comparable sold listings on eBay. And then I work out the fees from, eBay selling fees and shipping and handling and stuff like that. And I determine if this auction is going to be profitable for me or not, potentially. It not always is. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you win, but that's just the rationale that I use to make a purchase. Clearly, this is a time-consuming process, and if it turns out a listing is not profitable, then you've wasted potentially 20, 30 minutes just looking up card prices for nothing. But it's necessary, because if you don't do that, then you're just taking a gamble on a collection. Now, how does Collectr factor into this? Collectr uses the sold listings from eBay and TCG Player, like we said, which is dope. So I've got no problems with that. However, there's a growing number of people that are making listings for their cards, and they'll link their Collectr portfolio and ask for the exact value of what Collectr says it's worth. That might be fine if the conditions of the cards are exactly as they say they are in Collectr, but sellers are making listings now without even including photos of their collection, so you can't even verify if this is truthful or not. I have come across some that have included the photos along with the portfolio, and I was able to compare the photos with what Collectr listed. There was a case where a guy had a vintage first edition Dark Dragonite from Team Rocket listed up for $400 moderately played. But the card was extremely damaged and had several creases on it. This is the difference of being a $400 card as moderately played or being a $100 card as heavily damaged. And that's only for one card in that listing. In this instance, I'm willing to give the seller the benefit of the doubt and assume they were just uninformed. It looked like a vintage collection they probably dug up out of their closet after 20 years. And they're not familiar with the intricacies of the Pokemon hobby, which is fine. But Collectr has resulted in many of these people that are uninformed about the market of Pokemon cards going on and listing their cards incorrectly and expecting to get that amount just because Collectr says so. And then there are the people that are blatantly using this nefariously without even including photos of their cards, expecting you to take their word that their collection is in near mint condition or better, and you just have to take a gamble on it. They are clearly trying to scam their way into making more money on their collection than it's worth, and some people are falling for that scam, which is very sad to watch. And of course, the counter argument here is that no one is forcing you to buy these listings. But I still believe that this scummy behavior should be called out. Without Collectr, these people would be forced to list their cards with photos if they wanted any chance at selling them, making it much more difficult for them to scam people than it is right now. So just to recap, while I think the concept of Collectr is awesome, I love the idea of being able to catalog your collection, have that accessible on your phone at all times. I believe it is having some negative impacts on the hobby that are worth talking about. Number one, it's incentivizing more of these investor bro type guys to get into the hobby, which we desperately don't need that right now. And second, it's caused a dramatic rise in false condition listings on various marketplaces. Some of these are due to people being misinformed. Others are due to people trying to take advantage of others. And to me, all of this is just making the hobby feel less and less healthy. So thanks for watching the video. If you agree, leave a like. If you disagree, leave a dislike. Do you think apps like Collectr are good for the hobby, or are they making things worse? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm really curious to know where people stand on this problem.